The Dome of the Rock is our next screencast. This is an architectural structure that was built during the Golden Age of Islam. So we're going to take a look at the accomplishments of the Golden Age of Islam by looking at architecture. All right, let's take a look where it's located. It's located in Jerusalem, which is located in Israel today. It's the most revered Muslim site in Jerusalem. So in the old city of Jerusalem, it is considered the most sacred of all the sites. And again, you can see it here on the map. If you look over here, you'll see it's located right here. And you'll notice it says Dome of the Rock, but also underneath it in brown it says the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is where the original temple for Judaism used to be located. So as we go on, you're about to see that this is a little bit of a complicated situation because the Dome of the Rock is located where the Temple Mount used to be. Now, Jews believe this spot to be where Abraham offered his son Isaac to God. So this isn't just a sacred site to Muslims, it's also sacred to Jews. That's why the Temple Mount was built at this location. It was meant to honor the place where Abraham offered his son to God. Now, Christians also believe it's a sacred place because they believe it was the site of the Jewish temple where Jesus chased out the moneylenders. So in the Bible, in the New Testament, there's the story of where Jesus first visits the temple and he gets angry because he sees moneylenders at the temple and he doesn't think they should be there. So this site is also revered by Christians as well. So it's revered by Muslims, Jews, and Christians, which makes it a sort of complicated piece of realty. Now, the dome itself was built in 691, and it was built over the rock where Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended into heaven. So there is this story where Muhammad goes on what's known as the night journey, and he flies a winged beast up to heaven. He meets with the prophets, he meets with God. In this story, he both takes off from and lands back on earth at the site of the Dome of the Rock. So again, this site is also revered by Muslims as well. And so again, Jews, Christians, and Muslims all think this is a holy site, and that makes this a complicated situation. So here's the building. All right, it's actually it's a lovely building. It's a really beautiful piece of architecture. It's actually an early piece of Islamic architecture, and what's interesting is when you look closely at it, you'll see that it has different elements from different societies. Here's another shot of the building, and you can see here that it has a lovely strip of calligraphy running across the top, and these are phrases that come from the Quran, written in Arabic. And the building itself is also covered with lots of geometric shapes and forms, and that's typical of Islamic architecture, this early Islamic architecture. What you'll find again is there's no pictures of people, there's no pictures of God or the Prophet, but instead geometry is used to express their belief in monotheism, the oneness of God. And so this building really illustrates that very well. Here's a cross-section of what the building looks like structurally, and you can just tell by the shape of this building. It's essentially an octagon with a dome in the center of it, and what's interesting about this structure, again, is to be able to build this architecturally, you would have had to have an advanced knowledge of geometry at the very least. And you can see in the interior is where the rock is located. This is, again, the Dome of the Rock, so the Holy Rock is in the center, and then again you can see the dome structure up above here. And in fact, when you look at the structure of this building, it actually has many different architectural elements in it. Here's what it looks like from above, okay, and you can see this large open area is actually, this flat area here, would have been the location at one time of where the Jewish temple would have been located, and hence the Dome of the Rock seems to be located center of that one-time structure. Remember, that structure had been destroyed by the Romans back before the Jewish diaspora had taken place. Now, the interior of the building is really interesting because much of this design at the top, although it's early Islamic, it actually looks very Byzantine, which may suggest that this is such an early structure that maybe some of the craftsmen may have been actually from the Byzantine Empire, people who may have worked on buildings such as the Hagia Sophia. And so there's a sort of bit of cultural diffusion going on. This is a pretty good example. Yes, there's Arabic calligraphy here, but a lot of these motifs, which are Arabic in terms of the fact that they're showing plant motifs as opposed to people and animals, are actually, the style of the art actually looks very Byzantine. It's very, very early Islamic, and it's very different than what one sees in later Islamic buildings. Here's a shot down below from the top of the dome looking down to the rock itself, and there's actually a small cave underneath this rock that one can walk into. Okay, here's another shot of the building. Okay, so you can see where the old temple might have stood at one time. And if you notice here in the bottom right, there is this large wall, and in Israel this is known as the Wailing Wall. It's believed to be the only remaining wall from the original city of Jerusalem and the original temple complex. And so this area today, you can see there are people down here. People will walk up to the wall, they will make prayers, they put prayers on a slip of paper, and they'll stick them into the cracks of the wall. This is one of the most sacred places in Israel today. And so again, there's a lot of controversy over this realty of land, because Jews believe this is sacred to them, but so don't Muslims. There's a shot of the dome from across the city. And again, you can see there are Christian churches in the background. And here's some more shots of the geometric shapes and forms and calligraphy that surround the building. There's another shot. Really quite lovely work. Really beautiful craftsmanship, tile work. Okay, again, here's some more geometric shapes and forms. And here's a close-up of, again, this sort of plant motif at the top, calligraphy section here, and repeating forms of geometry, and again, some more calligraphy. And so this building is really quite ornate. And to be able to build this building and develop this sort of architectural style and this level of craftsmanship in terms of the tile work would have been a great accomplishment during the Golden Age of Islam. Here's a close-up. And this blue tile would have been very difficult to produce in that time period as well. There's another shot. Here's some more. And there's a shot of the dome and the calligraphy. And again, the calligraphy along the outer edge. Okay, written in Arabic. And then here's the final shot of the building. So it is a very impressive building, and it goes to show us that during the Golden Age of Islam, again, we could look at their scientific accomplishments, we could look at their accomplishments in literature and history, obviously mathematics, but also architecture is a really good vehicle for understanding the degree to which the Golden Age of Islam was a successful period of time for Islamic culture.